All right, guys. All right, welcome to Money in the Bank 2024 recap, as promised, with Jimmy Farrow and the player Benny. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Doing
What's
great.
up, Mike? I
Still
hate
awake.
wrestling. Did I mention that? I hate wrestling, but we could start with me saying I hate wrestling. Go ahead.
Why do you hate wrestling, dude?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take it match by match? I guess, you drive the bus as you always do so well, and I'll get to the part where I just hate wrestling, you know.
Well, let's open
Is
up.
there a
Let's.
goat? By the way, is there a
All
ghost
right,
in your
fine, but
room or did
let's
the
open
dog
up
just
with.
come in?
That was my dog who came bursting into
Yeah,
the
I got
man's
shades on.
inhabit.
I got shades on. I can't see. Oh, it's always this door opening. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have a paranormal. Maybe it's Snooker. All right.
Spirit box.
Yeah.
Too funny, dude. Too
I
funny.
thought maybe
Um,
Snooker came in the room, brother.
Brother.
we've got to bring it back. That's for sure.
What a spirit box! What a spirit box!
So, little spirit box. Before we get started, thoughts on Kevin Sullivan? There's been mixed reports. I know that I've been in contact with a few people who said he's not doing very well, but you've got a lot of people now saying that he's in really, really bad shape. There's a GoFundMe out there for $20,000. Seems like he has run out of money for his medical funds, and people are looking for help there. Thoughts on that?
I think it's very unfortunate. Look, we know Kevin kind of. I mean, we've hung out with him a few times. He's been very kind to me personally. I think he's a good person, really good guy. I have been concerned, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it, that in recent conventions over the months, I've heard stories that that Kevin's either heavily medicated or drinking or whatever he's been doing. This could be false. This could be true, but it sounds like it's true. Kevin sounds like he's crashing and burning, and now whatever he has now, I don't know what's wrong with him, but maybe it's all just catching up. I mean, he's not a young man anymore, and it's very sad to hear. My prayers are with Kevin Sullivan. He's a good soul.
How about you, Benny?
I heard the term accident, so I'm not even sure exactly what the nature of the condition is. Was he in an accident?
Well, he had an accident. He ended up getting sepsis in his leg, and he's already had some heart. From what I understand, he's been in the hospital over 45 days.
Wow.
And he, again, he's had, I think, a pacemaker for a few years. I got to be honest with you. I'm highly, highly confused. I would have thought that Kevin would have a plethora of money considering his career and then a continuation of his career with signings and everything else.
I agree with that.
Guys, your thoughts?
I agree with that, Mike. I'm confused with that too, but that's something that we've seen happen over and over again. I don't know if that's the case with Kevin, but if he's asking for money, maybe it is the case. You would think that he's a huge name. He's a big famous name. He probably gets plenty of bookings, plenty of signings and stuff like that. I'm sure that he gets paid well when he makes these appearances. So it's a bit of a question. Does that lead back into, some of the things that I had heard in recent months, that he was, incoherent at gatherings and taking pills or drinking too much or whatever? I don't know. I didn't see it for myself, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So, look, if you're living the rock star lifestyle, which may or may not be true in his case, if he is, he's got no money. We've seen it so many times. I hope that's not the case here.
How far removed are we from having dinner with him? How long ago was that, Jimmy?
To be honest, it's years. It's probably a couple years, I would say.
So it's in the multiple years that I could not remember.
Yeah, it is in the multiple years. It's got to be at least 2 years ago. Could be going on 3 for all I know. Time's been a bit of a blur. But it's not good. One way or the other, it's not good. You know, the fact that he needs a fundraiser, that does call into question what you're bringing up. It's just like, I know he was paid well. I know he's a legendary name in the business. I mean, I'm sure he was taken care of wherever he went. He's never struck me as a fool when it comes to negotiating a deal, you know. So I would tend to think that he has been well paid over the years. But if, and that's an if he has habits or if he has medications he's popping too much of, or if he's drinking a lot, or if he's living fast because he just wants to live fast because he's older and he says fuck it, I would understand that too. But it does call into question the point you're bringing up. I don't know. I hope he's okay, but it doesn't sound like he's okay.
All right, well, let's move to Money in the Bank. I want to open up with John Cena. He's announced. Go. What's that?
No, I mean, of any of these guys that started.
What was that, Benny?
Sullivan is one of the the most surprising GoFundMe's I've seen. Like you said, I mean, the guy's been in wrestling since what, 1971, 72, over 50 years. Has been pretty active. I'm sure he's made a lot of money. I was surprised to see the GoFundMe.
Well, me too, for sure. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to work on a couple of different things here. John Cena announcing his retirement, 2025. Thoughts on that?
You know, Mike, as you know, I've always never been a fan of John Cena, the character, and I always rooted against him. But considering the relationship we've grown to have with his father and your love for John Cena, I've reevaluated a lot of things about John Cena. John Cena is the classiest man that has probably ever put on a pair of boots in this business. He is the most loyal man that's probably ever put a pair of boots on in this business. And he probably has the biggest heart of any man I've ever seen put on a pair of boots in this business. He's a really genuine, good person. It's amazing that he is the way he is, considering how famous he is. And the two paths he could have gone down, he went down the right path. He could have easily pulled a Ric Flair with all of his fame and money, and God only knows what that would have led to. But obviously, knowing John Cena Sr., great upbringing, high, strong family value, moral. I saw his press conference afterwards also. I made a point to try to watch that. And he's basically Derek Jeter. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a well thought out, mature, responsible answer. He clearly loves pro wrestling. He's very grateful for it. And more props to him. And this was pointed out also, I think, by Barrett afterwards in the post show conference. The fact that he's going to go on a 30 to 40 date tour, that means house shows. Right, Mike? Right, Benny? That means house shows. That means that John Cena is going to go out blue collar. He's going to go out blue collar the same way he came in. The man gets it. He really gets it, and he deserves every last bit of anything and everything he ever accomplished in this business. It's funny. In some ways, I'm grateful that we started this show 7 years ago to see some of the things behind the scenes, to get a better feel for who they are as people and what they go up against, what tests they pass and what tests they fail. And John Cena is an honor student when it comes to tests. I have nothing but respect for John Cena. But oddly enough, in his comeback, pretty much it depends on who he faces, but I'll probably be rooting against him, because, I don't change as a wrestling fan towards his character, which was a great character, by the way. I don't have to like it to not recognize it's great. I mean, John Cena was always great. He always brought emotion out of me. I hated him, You could say that about a lot of guys. A lot of guys are really good at that. John Cena was just a great performer, great on the mic. Every time they asked him to do something, he did it. Any job they asked him to do, he did it. Some people like to pull he's got a bit of a Hogan card, how he buried certain guys and stuff like that. I don't hold that against him. Whether it's true or not, I wouldn't hold it against him. He worked hard to get to his spot. If he protected his spot from time to time, good for him. It's probably why I don't look at Hogan like he's a douche either. Good for him. That's a physically rough,
Well, let me ask. Let
murderous
me run
business.
this. Let me run this to Benny. Benny, do you think they're going to take that opportunity since he's going to finish out 2025? Are they going to give him that 16th World Championship to
17.
what is it? 16, right? Jimmy and Benny.
Yeah, 17 will break it. They're both tied at 16, Cena and Flair.
I have to.
Right. So will they give? Okay, then will they give him that 17th championship to call it a death?
I'm going to say yes. I don't see how they don't. I mean, they've gone to the extent, they went to this trouble to have this. I was very surprised to see him. I'm not surprised that he's retiring. It was just a surprise to see him tonight. But yeah, with 30, like Jimmy said, 30 or 40 dates, there's going to be some house shows. I got to believe, even if he wins it and, loses the next night, I do think, and Michael Cole, again, made a point of calling him the greatest of all time. To be the greatest of all time, you got to win that 17th belt. And I think that does happen.
What do you think, Jimmy?
I think it's going to happen.
Wow.
I think it too. And
Wow.
you know how against it I've been in the past, but the way I saw everything developing tonight, I think it's going to happen. But more importantly, let's go a little deeper. Guess who's going to do the job for him?
Dwayne?
Can you guess?
Who?
No guesses? Okay.
Rock?
No.
Roman Reigns?
No.
Roman Reigns?
CM Punk.
Punk.
CM Punk's going to do the job for him.
Wow.
Yeah, I could hear it between the lines of CM Punk's post conference. I could hear I could read between the lines of what he was saying, and he was saying that him and Cena are Batman and Superman basically, and that he's not done with him. He wants to. I think he wants to work with him, and I think he wants to be the one to give him that moment, because after all, and I know you know this for sure, Mike. And I'm sure you remember this too as well, Benny. Who made CM Punk besides CM Punk's pipe bomb? Who made CM Punk? John.
Cena elevating him.
This is going to be a return receipt, and it's going to be beautiful. By the way, the fans won't reject it, and that will have a lot to do with the fact that it is John's last time. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and memories will come to the forefront, whether you love him or hate him, and you will respect him. And he will have a great finale, and he will have it with another great, a much different kind of great, a much more rebellious, less company loyal kind of great, but still a great. And they'll complement each other beautifully. Punk will obviously play a heel, and it will work. It will work, and we'll have that amazing, huge marquee matchup one last time. I can see it happening. I think it's good for business, Mike. We always talk about business. If John's going to go for his final run and try to win the belt, if that's the plan, after all, he's in the Royal Rumble. Is he there to lose it? Could be, but sometimes things that are obvious are a good thing too.
You are writing a script way ahead of time, man. But yeah, I think if they're going to make him finish out 2025, they've got to finally, to cement him as one of the all-time greats. Not that he's not there already. All right, moving on to the shocker of the night. Sami Zayn.
Jeez, dear God.
Pinning Braun Breaker. So before I get to you guys, I'm going to give you my analysis, right? I think when we were on ESPN, I didn't think Breaker was going to win, but I expected maybe a double count out or maybe disqualification. I've got to tell you, I'm in shock that they put Sami Zayn over. I don't know where they're going with this now. And again, it's not a bad thing, but I think again, I think it does damage to Braun Breaker, or maybe not, because we were flipping out about Gunther at WrestleMania. Now we know he's going to beat Damian Priest at SummerSlam, guys.
Well, this was the part of the night where I said I hate wrestling. I hated this decision. I absolutely hated this decision. I was furious. I mean, Karen was locking up the dogs. I was out of my chair and in full Mark mode, absolutely hating this decision. I don't see how this helps Braun Breaker at all. This is now the second time that the WWE has tried to tell me with a straight face that Sami Zayn is main event type material. I can't get past it. My stomach is in better shape than Sami Zayn's. Okay? I'm in better shape than Sami Zayn. All right? I can't. I can't do this anymore. When he beat Gunther, I was disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. It never should have happened. This doesn't mean Sami Zayn's not intercontinental title worthy, because he is, especially in today's landscape. But I can't take when Sami Zayn beats Gunther after a record-setting reign, pins him, and now you're doing this to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is not somebody who should be getting pinned by Sami Zayn. All right? Yeah, time will pass. They'll re-strengthen Breaker. We'll learn to forget about this decision. But in the moment, I hated every second of it because I can't buy for 1 second that Sami Zayn should be able or should beat Braun Breaker. I don't understand that booking. I thought it was absolute total horseshit. Benny?
Yeah. Here's what I wrote down during the match. I just find it impossible to suspend my disbelief. Sami Zayn looks like the only time he visits the gym is when Planet Fitness is giving away free pizza. And Braun Breaker gets his physical exams at the Peterbilt plant. You know, the guy's a truck. Like Mike, I did expect Sami to retain, but I thought, what would happen is, a scenario where maybe Sami was propped up against a ring post, Breaker does his lap around the ring and, hits the post, gets counted out. But to lose via pinfall, I did not think that was a good decision.
I agree. I don't want to argue that the WWE, they're surprising everybody. Like, it's not easy to guess what's going to happen anymore, right? So, it's certainly shocking, to say the least.
I gotta retract my statement.
I don't know. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do with Braun Breaker now.
I don't know either, but as I sit here smoking my non-filtered cigarette, I'm going to probably say maybe I'm not in better shape than Sami Zayn, so let me retract that. But at the same time, though, I agree with Benny. He's probably getting his workouts over at Domino's. I just don't understand it. I thought it was horrible. Just a horrible decision. Doesn't make any sense to me. What do you do with Breaker now? Does he win the title on Monday? I mean, what are we doing?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Does he go with Heyman?
Did you listen to the post conference with Zayn saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, people keep expecting me to lose, but
Right.
When am I
Right.
no longer going to be expected to lose?" Again, I expected Breaker to lose by disqualification and this carry on to SummerSlam.
Right.
If you beat him flat out by pinfall, how do you get a rematch?
Right.
How does that
Exactly.
even happen?
Right. And on top of it, let me explain it this way.
So-
using old school analogy, Mike. In the old days, okay, Benny spelled it out perfectly. You got a guy in the ring who's not even close to being in the shape of the bulldozer he's fighting, right? In the old days, when there was a face that was beloved the way Sammy is today, the face was a guy like Backlund. Backlund many times stepped into the ring with a guy who was bigger than him, way bigger than him. But when Backlund would beat him, there was a couple of things that made it a lot more acceptable. Number one, he was chiseled, built of granite, looked like an absolute athlete, one way or the other, even if he was outmatched in size. Number two, legitimate background. Okay? I mean, I look at Sami Zayn and I'm like, why are you pushing this guy on this kind of level as a face? LA Knight is currently just as popular as Sami Zayn. I don't see anything happening for LA Knight, but we'll get to that later. I don't understand the love affair with Sami Zayn. Just a really great company guy, and behind the scenes, for doing things like he did with the Johnny Knoxville match or whatever, he's getting his love behind the scenes. I can't explain it any other way. There's no legitimate reason to me that Braun Breaker should have been downsized tonight. He was downsized. I could have even lived with your guy's finish as much as I would have hated
where
that.
are we going with this, guys? Where are we going with this? Are you going with Chad Gable? Are you going with Otis? I mean, who's wrestling him at SummerSlam?
Chad Gable has failed multiple times, right? Hasn't he? With
Yeah.
Sammy? He's
Yeah,
failed multiple times.
yeah.
He has failed multiple times.
Many times
What do
with
you do with
Gunther and
any of
with
what do you
Sammy,
do with
yeah.
any of them? I don't know who Sammy's fighting. What are we gonna have another Kevin? I don't want to see Kevin and Sammy again for maybe not forever. I don't know.
Listen, you got to think about it this way. There's less than a month before SummerSlam.
Right.
I don't know where they're going with this whatsoever. It's a shocker. I mean, they usually come through with a good storyline, man.
Wait
So
a
I don't
minute.
want to
Wait a
say it
minute.
was the
Wait.
wrong thing to do. I was just you.
I just thought of something. We're asking who's next for Sammy. Isn't there a certain Irishman who has not ever won the Intercontinental title? He mentions it over and over again. It's the one belt missing from his resume. Isn't that Sheamus?
The arse kicker.
So perhaps Sheamus
Is that
comes in and
is that the
attacks him.
match we want to see at SummerSlam?
No,
See at
no, but that's
SummerSlam?
the match. No, but that's the match you're probably going to get. The
Ugh.
match you're probably going to get. And oddly enough, Sheamus will probably finish his story as a bad guy and take the belt from Sammy. I don't know. I'm just speculating again, but we're trying to figure out who the hell Sammy's going to fight. That seems to be a fit. But
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I mean, they could have just done, like Mike said, a DQ or a count out. Sammy retains, but keep Braun strong and then build up the match for SummerSlam. Like you said, a month away, you really don't have time to build a good story. Otherwise,
right? Yeah, it was a very befuddling
Now,
decision.
here's another shocker. Here's another shocker, right? We said, how many times can CM Punk screw with McIntyre? They pulled it off again. I did not expect this ending. I did not expect Priest to walk out. After it was all said and done, Benny and Jimmy, I said, wow, this really made sense. Now it makes all the sense. Rollins into because the original game was Rollins and Punk, right? They hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're bringing Rollins back into the loop. Were both of you guys surprised by this ending?
No, but I wasn't surprised by it. Matter of fact, I jumped up and I said, "Where's Punk? Where's Punk? Where's Punk?" Before Punk actually did make his appearance, because I could see it coming as I'm watching it. What really bothered me, and I don't know how many other people are catching it, or if I'm just like taking the wrong kinds of drugs when I'm watching the product, but there was a real goof up there with there was a 3 count.
Yeah.
The referee counted 3. Okay, and the match was over, and then McIntyre's music hit, and I'm like, whoa! There was a 3 count. What the hell's going on? Who's he going after? I could have sworn Rollins just won the belt. I'm like, what just happened? But I think what happened, and I'm just speculating again, is that the music for McIntyre was supposed to hit during the 1, 2, hit the music. Everybody stops. The referee went through with the 3 count because he didn't hear the music. It's the only thing I could come up with. I'm like, what the fuck? Everybody was confused. I was confused. I was like, what just happened? And then everything else that came into play made sense, but I couldn't get past what just happened. There was a pin, and it wasn't a pin. And I really
Could I
think
just
somebody
interrupt
in the back
you?
fucked up with the audio.
Jimmy, let me interrupt you guys for 1 second. Bernard writes out there, Priest is god-awful as a champ. I will say this. I wrote you, Jimmy. I'm not used to watching a Seth Rollins match that is sloppy. Seth Rollins is as good as it gets. That match tonight was sloppy. I thought Damian Priest – I'm starting to wonder how good Damian Priest really is, because he tends to cause a lot of sloppiness in his matches. And, that 3 count, you bring that as an example. I don't want to blame the sloppiness of the match. You could see Rollins was missing his cues, because Priest is a problem.
I have always been weary of Damian Priest's legs. I've talked to you about this before. I've mentioned this on the show before. He's a big guy. There's something awkward about him. He's gotten better over time because he's gotten a lot of work. He's been working a lot in the WWE. But I think that problem came up to rear its ugly head a little bit tonight. I'm not so sure about his agility factor. His legs are a little clumsy. They always have been. You know, I figured eventually maybe he'd grow into them. Like the great Zdeno Chara from hockey. When I first saw him in his rookie year, I saw this baby deer. And you know what deer are like when they're first starting to walk, right, guys? They're like their legs. Their legs are not in cohesion with the rest of their body. But so Dana Chara grew up to be this big man, and I've watched Priest from Ring of Honor grow up to be this big man. But Chara's legs, he found them, and he turned into a Hall of Fame level defenseman and a Stanley Cup champion and a captain. I'm not so sure that that's what's happening with Damian Priest here. I feel like the deer legs are never going to fully be there. And I think that may have played in tonight because you're right. Seth Rollins could wrestle a paper bag and make it look good. And that's my take.
Benny, your thoughts?
Yeah, I do not take the same drugs as Jimmy, but I had the same conclusion that, I mean, that was fucked up with the 3 count. That was an obvious 3 count. I'm sure that, between 2 and 3 was the cue for McIntyre's music and they missed it. But
right.
It just seemed, and like, I agree with you guys, Seth Rollins is as good as it gets. They did not have good timing together tonight. And I'm not going to blame that on Rollins. Priest just looked awkward.
That's the perfect word for Priest. It always has been. He's got size. He's got a good baritone in his voice, but his legs have always been a concern of mine. I know, Mike, you've always liked him. I mean, are you reevaluating it at this point?
I'm reevaluating it because now I'm seeing these are quite a few sloppy matches this guy's having. And again, when you cause Seth Rollins to have a sloppy match, there's something wrong there. And I will tell you this. I don't know how I feel about this whole Judgment Day at this point, because clearly Finn had an attitude with Damian telling him to stay out of the match.
Right.
So clearly now we have Gunther, who's up next for SummerSlam. And I'm assuming Priest is going to make it to SummerSlam as champion. Is this it? Is this the curtain call for Priest? And does it have any kind of interference from Judgment Day causing Priest the title? Or does Priest not even make it to SummerSlam?
I think Priest is going to make it to SummerSlam. I think that Judgment Day, he's going to tell them once again, see, I didn't need you last time. I don't need you this time. You can see the hostilities building up slowly but surely between Balor and Priest. I think it's at SummerSlam where, it's the big show. As I would say, most likely that's the time where the Judgment Day comes out and turns on him. They're probably going to come out initially on face value to help him, and he's going to scream at them. I told you, blah, 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 blah. He's going to piss them off. And Balor's probably going to be the one to do it to him. And Gunther will capitalize, and Gunther will walk out of there as Gunther should always be perceived as a world champion. Does it undo the Sami Zayn thing? No. But I really hope that after Gunther does win the title, which he should, I expect this to happen. It should happen. If he does win the title, I hope Sami Zayn's his first challenger and he puts him down quick. I would love to see a long, delicious run from Gunther.
That's a good one, Jimmy. I like that.
As an evil champion. I want to see it. The fans do appreciate Gunther. They do. Yeah. This is not a bad guy that they don't want to see. This is a bad guy they do want to see. And they can tell. He's done a fantastic job, Gunther, through his character, expressing his love for this sport, right? Always calls it a sport. Always. This great sport. Gunther is the man. And I would love to see him as champion. And we wouldn't have to worry about bad matches with him ever, would we?
What about you, Benny?
There was a book, I think it came out in the 70s, called the Peter Principle. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but the whole theory of the book was that people rise to their level of incompetence. And I think Damian Priest is the perfect example of that. There is no way that guy should be a world champion. IC, yes, tag, yes, US, but not a world champion. he's not the guy that can carry a company. So absolutely, I do think he will make it to SummerSlam, but there's no way that he gets past Gunther. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing Gunther as a world champion. I think he's one of the rare guys that is in wrestling now that you could, if there was a time machine, you could put him in a time machine, send him back to 1971, and I think he'd still be relevant.
He'd fit right in. He would. He would. And you know, it's funny, Mike, I'm thinking, even as big as Priest is, I'm thinking about a past champion who wasn't champion very long or whatever. I would have rather had Dolph Ziggler in his prime, especially when at the moment where he cashed in. I would rather have that Dolph Ziggler as champion right now than what I just saw tonight out of Damian Priest. Dolph Ziggler was a great worker. You know what I mean? A great worker. We wouldn't be talking about the quality of the match. That's for shit sure.
Well, I want to be fair to this. The character itself, Damian Priest with Judgment Day, is good for wrestling. Like, I enjoy him as champion. But when it comes to the matches, they just seem to get very, very sloppy. So I agree with you, Jimmy and Benny. I do. But, you know, I don't know, Benny, I don't know if I fully agree with you that he shouldn't be a champ. I think it's starting to wear thin now. And to Jimmy's point, he's getting a lot of work, man. He's on every Monday Night Raw. He's on every, PLE. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's just it's just like a slop fest when he's in the ring.
Yeah. Agreed. It cost him tonight. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about him this way if we didn't see what we saw.
I still don't know how to get past that 3 count.
I can't. It screwed everything up for me, you know. But once again, here he comes. To CM Punk's credit, guy can polish any turd he comes across. CM Punk is one of the all-time greats, one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
The Punk McIntyre thing is
but Jimmy,
is great.
Jimmy, at what point are you going to make CM Punk the bad guy here? Even if you are a CM Punk guy, this guy has screwed over McIntyre so many times. And in the reality of it, the McIntyre story, and you take CM Punk back when he trashed the company and I stood by. You know the whole story. And it's like, he's Jey Uso. You guys are rooting Jey Uso. Meanwhile, with the bloodline, they destroyed everybody and everybody forgives it. I mean, at what point do you not say, F you, CM Punk, I hope you get destroyed?
I got to be honest, when that was all going on there, during the match and the fucked up 3 count, and there's McIntyre, there's Priest, there's Rollins, there's Punk. It's just my opinion, but as I'm looking at all of them, I turn to Karen and I'm like, that's the champion right there. And I was pointing right at Punk. I was like, that's the guy with the most box office appeal standing in the ring right now. That's the guy that gets the most raw reaction no matter what he does. Guy's not even in the building half the time. And they're chanting his name. That's the champion. And until he's not doing that, then I'll say it's time to, forget about CM Punk, Do
you see the picture that's up right now?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see on Friday night when McIntyre came in the ring and stood over Mello? Mello was at his chest.
Right.
Chad Gable was at his chest.
Big guy.
Right.
I mean, dude, Benny, I think, and Benny, you can weigh in here. Benny's like, you were talking about Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker. Look at CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. There's a huge difference there.
Right. But just like, and I know you're going to hate this comparison, just like when Roddy Piper stood in front of Hulk Hogan, I believe that Roddy Piper could bust his shit up. I believe that CM Punk can bust his shit up. This is wrestling. I'm talking wrestling, I mean, the Punk character, the Punk aura, the Punk character, the Punk aura, and the fact that Punk is not a small guy. He is not. It is not a small guy you're looking at when you're looking at CM Punk. He's not small. He's a pretty big dude, So because of his aura, because of his convincibility, because of his magnetism, because he plays huge, I totally buy into it. The same way I did all those years ago when Bob Backlund stared up at Sergeant Slaughter or whoever. You know, if you have a certain amount of it and convincibility to your deal, you're convincing. The end. I think that Punk is absolutely convincing right now and has been for over a decade. You know, the guy went away and no one gave up. No one stopped. I've never seen anything like that. There's no other wrestler you could compare him to. You know, there wasn't we want Hogan chance for 10 years.
At what point
You know?
are you going to cheer for McIntyre though?
Never.
At what point are you going to cheer for
Never.
McIntyre?
Not against Punk. I'm not going to do it. Never. And I like McIntyre, by the way. I like him a lot. I probably like him more than you do. I think McIntyre's great. I think McIntyre's doing the best work of his career right now. He's doing the best work of his career. McIntyre
I have to
is
be
a stud.
honest, dude. I was in shock that they did another Punk run-in yet again. I was like, wow. I mean, look, it was great. It made sense.
I knew it.
But I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
I knew it.
Oh my God, they just keep going to this. And it's like people,
And it
you know,
works.
wow. I feel
time.
bad for McIntyre.
McIntyre is really being a company guy. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. I don't know how angry he is on the inside. Maybe.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Seth Rollins is now in the mix.
Right.
I know you're a Seth guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
What am I doing? What is a fan? It's too late, man. I've drank the Punk Kool-Aid again.
Are you going Seth or are you going with Punk?
No, I'm going with Punk. I'm going with Punk. Listen, man, this is not AEW. This is not AEW anymore, brother. He came home. That's the bottom line. He came home. You know, I never got to see Reggie come home. Reggie left, and Reggie was gone, and Reggie hit more home runs with the Angels and went away, and blah 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 blah. But Punk came home.
Let me ask Benny. Are they going to the well too often with CM Punk now?
I don't think so, but Mike, I do think you're onto something here because I think that, I mean, they are, and WWE, nothing is said that does not have a purpose, and I do think that they are trying to portray, unless I'm misunderstanding, they're starting to portray McIntyre as the victim, and I'm wondering if this is going to be like a double turn here. You think that's possible?
Well, there's also something else going on because now this is the third time I think that, first of all, I got on, and you guys got to weigh out on this. McIntyre's gone after Adam Pearce about 3 times now. Mm-hmm. And who's the guy at broadcast? I'm sorry.
Wade Barrett?
Barrett, yeah.
Bad news, right?
Yeah.
Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett is pro Drew McIntyre, and he keeps. At what point is Wade Barrett going to get involved in this? What's Adam Pearce doing with this? Again, you know, Jimmy, you wrote to me, you know, bring me back Vince. I got to tell you, the one good thing about today's wrestling is if you think you know, you don't know. They're twisting it, and you have no clue where they're going.
Right.
Every show. Whether you agree with it or not, you got to admit that it's like, what happened just now?
Right. Well, there's definitely that. I think that they insert that purposely into every show. I think they're doing that by design. Obviously, I think that, like you said, there's a plan for everything. They do that by design. Every show, there's at least one match that makes everybody look like doofuses. And I think that's by design, you know?
Well, let me ask you this. Does Wade Barrett attack
either.
Punk?
What was that? Barrett attack Punk? I don't see that happening.
Does Wade Barrett attack Punk?
I don't see that happening. I thought it was interesting that he.
Why is he constantly getting involved in McIntyre?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, we could see something with that. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, tonight, didn't McIntyre strike physically Pearce? I haven't seen that happen before. Pearce looked pretty damn pissed about that. So that seems kind of interesting. I'm actually more intrigued by what will Pearce do about the McIntyre problem immediately, rather than Wade Barrett.
Well, I think the bigger question is, what is Pearce going to do about Punk? Punk keeps costing and creating turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of a storyline. You're running the organization. How long are you going to allow this guy to destroy every main event?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll even address that. They should. I don't know how it's going to be addressed, though, or how they'll go about doing it. Look, it's going to be really hard to turn the fans on CM Punk. He's going to have to do something really, really bad to be booed. And I bet you even if he has that final program with Cena and he's the heel, I'm still going to be rooting for him. You're going to probably be looking at your classic 50-50, let's go Cena, Cena sucks stuff, which is probably exactly what they want for John's final match, is just to go out the same way he always was at the top of his game. Half the crowd loving him, half the crowd hating him, the perfect heel in CM Punk. You know, I don't see CM Punk's popularity being damaged whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. He's CM Punk.
But you do have.
By the way,
you do have to wonder.
Damian Rochester wrote in. I just came across your channel a few days ago, and a video you'd done a few weeks ago, and I watched you guys talking about a dog. Man, I get the same feels. My dog is 12 and going strong. So I'm glad his dog is going strong.
Nice.
Listen, there's a lot to be called for that's coming up here, man. All right, the women's Money in the Bank. Thoughts on that, guys?
Well, the right woman won. I was glad about that. That's hilarious that Chelsea's afraid of heights. Chelsea's afraid of heights. I was like, oh, we learned this morning. Did they say that? Did I catch that right? We learned that. He says, you saw earlier this morning, Chelsea's afraid of heights. I was like, oh, for God's sakes. Very interesting, though. You guys seem to like Chelsea a lot. Mike, I know you wanted her to win it. And I found it interesting that the fans very much so are liking Chelsea very much. So did Tiffany need the briefcase? No, but are we really dealing with, the old school? Well, do they need it? Because honestly, and we'll get to the men's thing, obviously, but the guys who really needed it didn't get it. So I'm not even sure if Triple H goes by who needs something nowadays. This didn't really feel like a show that was appeasing to the, well, you've put in your time and you need this. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. I got to ask your overall what was your overall opinion of the match? Because it seems like everybody in the chat room did not like that match. I actually loved that match. I thought it was the best match of the night.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it came close to being the best match of the night. I thought it was meh. I thought it was okay.
Wow.
It had a couple of decent high spots, but in general, meh. Nothing too crazy. Let me send you head first down onto the ladder. Okay, that was cool. But
there were a couple. Listen, there were a couple of those. There were a couple of those. I was cringing. I was like, "Oh my God, this is going to be vicious."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Benny, what did you think of the women's match?
I'm not a fan of those matches because you got people who are laying outside the ring for 7 minutes where they can beat a 10 count in any match. So it's kind of stretches the believability. But I'm kind of like Jimmy that there were a couple of incredible spots. The one that Tiffany Stratton to me really cemented her legacy as a future megastar. Not even future, but when she did that, was thrown off the ropes by Naomi, did a cartwheel and caught her with an Alabama slam. That to me, that was the best move of the match, maybe the best move of the night. Right. But a couple of those spots, like you had to get hurt. I think Zoe Stark did I don't know if she botched it or not, but she banged her head against the ladder thing. Like, man, that had to hurt.
Right. It may not be a popular opinion, but I feel like sometimes people go out of their way to over-compliment the women matches. Sorry, I said it. No, I don't think it was that great. It wouldn't matter if it was a men's match or a women's match. I thought it was okay. It had the right ending, but that doesn't make it great.
Mike, I still think that I'm with you. I think Chelsea should have won, and only because, number one, she does need it, and I don't think Tiffany needed it at all. But the other thing is, I think they could have gotten a lot more value out of the contract over the next year as opposed to Tiffany. That's just my opinion.
See what they're writing for. So I agree. I would have liked to see Chelsea win it just for the story. But now they look like they're going into a Tiffy time. Trish Stratus little feud going on. And guys, I understand why you didn't really love the match. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was very set up. Of course, everybody took a powder, 2 people in. They take a powder, 2 people in. It was that usual stuff. But I thought all the high spots alone, thinking some of these girls were going to kill themselves, was more than enough to say the match was pretty good. But I think Tiffany winning the briefcase isn't a bad move. Again, I just in my head they were going to give Chelsea Green finally something for all the jobs that she has been doing for the last year. I thought there was going to be some payback. Let's go to the final match, the Bloodline against Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and I don't want to say sucked. I thought it was okay against Cody Rhodes. I thought it was anticlimactic. I thought I don't know. I wasn't too happy with it. And then with the final ending of it looks like Solo is going to get that title shot against Cody. I don't know.
Yep.
It's to me the Cody Rhodes thing is starting to wear a little thin on me, and I can't wait for the Tribal Chief to really come back here and let's get the ball rolling.
I couldn't agree more with that. I thought the match was fine. As you said, though, anticlimactic. You knew who was going to win. It made sense that the Bloodline won. And Cody's very safe reign, as far as booking goes, continues. If he fights Solo Sikoa, is Solo Sikoa going to beat him? He shouldn't. If they pull one of those that night, we'll surprise everybody. I'll be like, oh my God, what are you doing? It took 2 full years of WrestleManias, 2 WrestleManias to have Cody win this belt. You're going to drop it to Solo?
No, I can't, Jimmy. If that happens, no way.
You know what I mean? So on the surface, it appears to be the very safe booking. However, I will say this: if they decide to do that at SummerSlam, surprise! Bet you didn't see that coming. The only thing I can think of is that immediately after he's holding up his belt, Roman's music hits and he's standing there next to Paul Heyman, and you're not the head of this table, and you're not going to have that belt for more than a day if I can help it. And the crowd goes berserk. But what does that do for Cody? You know what I mean? So
no, it doesn't. It does
nothing.
It doesn't. I think what. Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Hold on. But Bernard's asking, do you think Randy should have RKO'd Cody? That's what I was expecting.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Cody move on into a actual feud. That Roman comes back as a face. We still have to play it out where The Rock is running the whole thing behind the scenes. And if he beats Cody for the title, then Roman's going to beat him. Like, this could be it. It may not be the story because I seem not to get anything right. So I'm just thinking in my head. But, Jimmy, I got to tell you, if they put the belt on Solo, forget about it. They just destroy everything. That makes no sense whatsoever. You could see Solo beating up Cody and Roman coming out to help because the Bloodline's beating up Cody, right? And Roman comes out, I guess.
Right.
Which still doesn't make sense to me because how's he forgive Cody? He has to hate Cody still.
What are they even noticing that Jacob Fatu in 2 short weeks, not even, has already surpassed Solo as the badass of the group? In my eyes, as a wrestling fan, I look at Solo now as number 2. He's supposed to be number 1. He's standing in the middle. He's the guy who declared himself the head of the table. But I'm busy looking at Fatu. Because Fatu has it. What a monster. He comes across as a completely unhinged monster. He's the muscle of the group. Solo actually was effectively playing that role as muscle of the group when Roman was champion because Roman is so number 1. It's obvious Roman's number 1. Solo made a very nice number 2. But the moment you put Fatu into this whole thing, Fatu outshines him already. Just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, okay, you've diminished the guy who's supposed to be the head of him already. Just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, okay, you've diminished the guy who's supposed to be the head of him already, just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, okay, you've diminished the guy who's supposed to be the head of him already, just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, okay, you've diminished the guy who's supposed to be the head of him already, just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, okay, you've diminished the guy who's supposed to be the head of him already, just in aura, in animalism, in toughness, in everything. So it's like, wow, what was that?
You made such a.
I don't know, dude. I was
repeated 12
You know
times.
what?
I
know
was
that
like,
reminded
what
me
is
of?
going on
I gotta make a joke here. You know what that reminded me of? My Kiss Alive Hotter Than Hell album. And get right to the point where he's getting ready to do the solo on Parasite. And all of a sudden, Parasite Lady, oh, Parasite Lady, oh, Parasite Lady. And I'm waiting for Ace Frehley. Sorry, folks. I don't know what that was, but where were we? Anyway, it's his aura and his invincibility.
that's called Monty trying to produce. That's called Monty trying to produce and try to get fancy.
Stay basic, kids. Stay basic. Unbelievable. Anyway, Mike, take over, please. Steer us, please. You nitwit. Oh my God. Well, at least no.
What do you think, Benny? Which way are they going with this, Benny?
Oy.
Okay, so my 3 takeaways was, one, I am very maybe it's me. I am very unimpressed by Cody Rhodes. His Cody cutter is the same old shit. He does nothing for me. I wrote down that I would not want to be in a dark alley opposite Jacob Fatu. I'm with Jimmy. That guy is a monster. He's already gone to that. He should be the head of the table, if anybody. And, the other thing is, I do think they missed an opportunity by Randy not RKOing Cody, because I would much rather see Randy and Cody at SummerSlam than Solo and Cody. I don't see that being a good match.
Listen, you can't understand. Look, Cody Rhodes has become one of the most popular champions. You, Benny, I'm getting worn out with the Cody Rhodes thing, but I will say this: Jimmy's always got hitting it on the head. They are playing it so safe with him. It's like every match, there's no chance. Like tonight, they let Solo pin him. If this is what we're gonna have for SummerSlam, give me a break. I hope that's on night one, because I could care less. I could just care less.
It is what we're going to have for SummerSlam. That's why he pinned him. And by the way, as great as it would have been to see Randy turn heel and do everything, that's another safe opponent. He's not beating Cody for the belt. He's not. He would have been there to do what AJ Styles did. Just another guy with a big-time resume.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Would you be in shock if Randy Orton pinned Cody?
Yeah, I would, but at least in that case, I wouldn't be angry about it. Right? Randy's a 14-time world champion, still beloved, still marketable, still in killer shape, still wrestles as good as he ever did, because he's a fucking machine, Randy Orton. So no, I wouldn't be upset about it, but I still feel that on paper, he's most likely going to be one of more to come, as long as Cody's champion, of guys with resumes that Cody's going to beat. We saw it with AJ, and I'm sure there'll be others, whether it's Kevin, whether it's Randy, whether it's, you can, whoever you want to come up with. It seems safe so far, And if Randy wins it, now we're talking about a guy who's held the belt 15 times. So he needs one more to tie 16. Does he have a story where why don't we have a triple threat at WrestleMania?
No, so you're 100% right. We all knew that Cody's road eventually was going to lead to The Rock, and that's if The Rock stays healthy, because this could all get blown up right in your face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you do agree that the path is Cody at The Rock. The Rock's going to reveal he's really running the show. He will come back as a conquering hero. So when does Roman come back? Is he coming back at SummerSlam? Are you going to wait even longer? At this
Well,
point,
it
I
really,
wanted Roman back at SummerSlam,
yeah.
but I want him back later now. There's no reason to bring him back.
Unless he wants to take back his position at the head of the table and he wants to avenge the fact that they beat up his wise man. You see, Roman and Paul never had a falling out. Paul still clearly loves and is very loyal to Roman. The fans, I find it fascinating that now, through circumstances and absence, for years and years and years, Vince wanted the fans to love Roman Reigns as a face. It never happened. He had his fans, but he was never fully embraced the way others have been embraced as a face over the years. So he finally turned him heel, and he had a huge following, and he turned into the legend he is now. I find it amazing, now that he stepped away and Cody finished his story, that the absence has made the hearts grow so quickly, by the way, so fond. We want Roman. We want Roman. We want Roman. And Vince McMahon, to his credit over the years, and I'm assuming Triple H has learned a lot from his father-in-law, you don't ignore that forever. Unless its name is CM Punk and you take 10 years to do it, that's very different. But in this case, how long do you wait is the question? Well, you could bring him back as quickly as SummerSlam because he may come out with Paul and ruin Solo's title shot and cost Solo the match. That's possible. But if you're playing long-term play with him, then you got to talk about it as we get towards WrestleMania, which means Roman will be gone for quite a while longer. What does Paul Heyman do in the meantime? What do you do with Paul Heyman? So there's a lot of questions that are yet to be answered. It's going to be very interesting one way or the other. I want Roman back as soon as possible. Hell, I wanted Roman to never not be champion, but neither did you, right, Mike? And I think you're also on board with Roman Reigns as a champion compared to Cody. Fair enough, Benny?
That's it.
100%.
Well, there you go.
Not even close.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So, guys, I wanted to go back real quick into John Cena's press conference. There was one podcaster that asked John Cena, since this is his final year, how did he feel about Vince McMahon and that entire situation? And John Cena said, this isn't the place or time.
Right.
You already know how I feel about Vince McMahon. If you dig deep enough, you can just find it. I'm sure it doesn't have to be answered here. I've already answered that question. I thought his response, as Cena always does, was excellent. Thought on Cena's respect for Vince McMahon and his loyalty to Vince McMahon.
The question couldn't have been answered more perfectly by the perfect person and the perfect employee. I loved his answer. He's like, you already know what I think about the man. Why don't you do a little digging and find out for yourself? It's not the time nor the place. What a stud. I mean, seriously, you know. And anyone who criticizes how John feels about Vince, well, that's just too bad. You know, Vince took good care of John over the years, and John took good care of Vince in return. And it was a respectful, loving relationship, and it's obviously stayed the same way. You know, I'm sure John wasn't privy to every private moment Vince McMahon ever lived. And if I know John Cena well enough just through talking with his father, it's none of his fucking business. He doesn't want to know. You know, all he can go by is how John treated him and how, you know, John saw things in the decades that he was there, and that he's entitled to that opinion. If Vince McMahon is his friend, he's his friend. And he obviously wasn't going to take the time there to rehash what he's already said once, which was probably not only brave enough for John to go against the majority here, but, you know, it was just, you know, why should I repeat this? It was hard enough the first time to tell you guys all the truth. If I answer it the same way again, you'll probably ask me another question about Vince McMahon, and another one, and another one. And the next thing you know, we're not talking about my retirement or my retirement tour. We're talking about Vince. So basically, it was perfect the way he answered that. Just a great answer from a great company guy, period. Benny?
Hey, Benny, I want you to answer this question from Bernard. He asks, do you think Cody is more Bret Hart or Hulk Hogan?
Oh, is Cody more Bret Hart? I think Cody is more Bret Hart than Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I think he's more Bret Hart than Hulk Hogan, but I think Bret Hart was a gazillion times a better wrestler and champion than Cody Rhodes. Not even close.
Do you want to elaborate?
Well, I mean, Cody's got the popularity. I mean, he's probably got the following that Hogan did, but I mean, I think they're playing it like you guys said. They're playing it very safe with him. He hasn't faced anybody that you thought like, holy shit, how is he going to pull this one off? I mean, every match he's been in so far, it's like, yeah, he's going to win, even if he wrestles Randy at SummerSlam, even solo. I mean, he's going to win. There's nothing threatening his reign. Whereas Brett was always the underdog. But yeah, I don't know that you really can compare him to either one. I just think, I think Brett was a hell of a better champion, carried himself and took the championship seriously. Not that Cody doesn't, but I mean, if I had to liken him to one or the other, I'd say Bret Hart, but I don't think that's really even a fair comparison.
It's funny, only on a face level, I would compare him much more to Tommy Rich than I ever would Bret Hart or Hulk Hogan. If that makes any kind of sense on a face level. I mean, he's a beloved face.
Wow.
He's not Tommy Rich either, though. Don't get me wrong, but he's a beloved face, but he's not a technician, for God's sakes. He's not Bret Hart. Bret Hart reeked of being a wrestler's wrestler. Cody Rhodes is not that, And as far as Hulk Hogan, please, on an entertainment level, no, it's not. It's not.
And they can't book him like Hulk Hogan. They can book him more like Bret Hart, but
they could. But I feel like he's much more of the adorable baby face, and he guts out his wins. The only reason I use Tommy Rich because he was a beloved baby face who gutted out his wins. It wasn't about his technical prowess. It's not about Cody's technical prowess. So the Bret Hart Hulk Hogan thing, it doesn't even apply to a Cody Rhodes. I'd have to think of other wrestlers who he might be more similar to in that aspect. And Tommy came to mind, But as far as a heartthrob goes, Cody's never going to touch what Tommy did with the girls.
All right, guys.
Before
we call it a night, overall grade for tonight's show, please.
Benny, you go first.
I'm going to give it a B. I think they could have done a lot better with Sammy and Braun Breaker. I think, they completely fucked up Priest and Rollins as far as that 3 count. That was bad. That was really bad. The women's Money in the Bank match, although it had some good spots, it was kind of sloppy. The Bloodline and versus Cody, Kevin, and Randy. Good match, very predictable. I can't really justify giving it any more than a B.
Yeah, I can't. Mike, you know how normally I'm very, very, very supportive of the WWE product. I'm giving this one a C. It was okay. That's about it. It didn't really. It wasn't.
Wow.
It wasn't good. B to me is good, and I didn't feel it was good. Felt it was just okay. There was a lot of things very disappointing about it. The booking decision infuriated me with Zayn and Breaker. It wasn't that great of a match on top of it. Did not think that the Money in the Bank matches were anything to write home about. The main event, like Benny said, that 3 count complete. What a giant botch. Maybe if that doesn't happen, everything else is much more acceptable about it. But that happened. I don't know who's getting fired first, the audio guy that was supposed to cue the music for McIntyre or the referee who went through with a 3 count. He went through with a 3 count. It's like, dude, what the fuck you doing? Don't hit your hand Don't hit your hand down a third time, you fucking idiot. You're fired. You know what I mean? What the fuck just happened here? This is the WWE.
So wait a minute. So if Breaker wins the IC belt, does your grade go from a C to a B?
Nope. It goes from a C to a C plus. It's still not a good pay-per-view. And that's it's not. It's
I
not a
agree.
good,
This is one of their weaker pay-per-views. I was disappointed.
and it's Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You just gave us a blah whatever Money in the Bank show. What the? Not good, guys. Not good at all. You know.
I'm concerned. I'm really concerned for SummerSlam right now. I'm really concerned for SummerSlam. Even though we want to see Gunther beat Damian Priest, it's like that's not a great match.
No, it's not.
Considering the
No.
stuff that Priest has been putting out, it's not a great
Right.
match.
Right. It's not. It's not a sexy match on paper. You know, if they're not careful and this keeps up with Priest, you could be looking at indifference. And there is nothing worse than indifference. That's the last word you want to hear when you're running a promotion. Because if you look up indifference in the
Right.
dictionary, there's a picture of Jinder Mahal with the WWE Championship. All right. And when Jinder Mahal held that belt, that was the most indifferent run I've ever seen. No one gave a shit, including India, where they were attempting to market. No one gave a shit. And if this keeps going with Priest, no one's going to give a shit at all, at all. So
And not to mention, do we even know if CM Punk's ready to go for SummerSlam? We don't even know if he's ready.
right. Well, that's fine. I love the fact that Punk walks around with us always asking questions. If we're not asking questions about his status, where he's going to be wrestling or fighting, we're asking questions about his medical status. Who knows with Punk? I think he's fine. He looked fine tonight. I think he's fine. I think he's ready to compete.
Hey, RJ Hudson says something really cool. He says, who cares? Gunther's a great wrestler, but two dull wrestlers to sell me a match, then good luck. What is this, AEW? It's a good point.
That's interesting. I did, obviously RJ Gunther doesn't, I'm assuming Gunther doesn't do much for RJ. So I could see why he would say that then, if that's the case. Gunther does a lot for me. I think Gunther is fantastic. I love Gunther. I love his mic work. I love his character. I love his in-ring wrestling. And I will say this much: if anybody can get a good match out of Damian Priest, a good slobber knocker, man meat slapping man meat, it's Gunther. It could turn out to be a surprise. After all, nobody saw Gunther and Sheamus coming. You know what kind of classics those guys put on. You know what I'm saying? And they did.
Well, I'm kind of thinking SummerSlam's going to hang its hat on Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan and CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Those are going to be the sexy matches for night 1 and night 2. Remember, it's 2 nights, guys. 2 nights of recaps. Don't forget. All right, I want to say prayers to the great Kevin Sullivan again, who's in the ICU. If people want to donate, there is a GoFundMe page. Just look online. Even $5 help to help the great Taskmaster with his medical expenses. Benny, got anything to promote upcoming week on the channel?
Well, Jimmy and I tomorrow night on the Baseball Bum should be a great show. We have a 4-part series on who should or should not be in the Hall of Fame. Last week we did pitchers and catchers. Tomorrow night we're going to do infielders, and we have a long list, and it should be very interesting.
And Jimmy, we're back on Thursday with our regular This Week in Wrestling, which will probably cover this again and whatever else is going on. And then at 9 o'clock, Killer B Brian Blair will be in studio for our interview.
Iron Sheik's best friend.
Very nice. Brian Blair's a good man. That should be awesome, bro. Looking forward.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on so late. Sorry for my production issues. I'm thinking I'm going to get this down now, and we're going to have some fun stuff with it. But I want to thank you both. Thank you for your both insight. I wish we had a better show to talk about. But one thing we did find out is John Cena will be retiring, and we may be looking at 25 closes if we're still around for it. Want to send us out, Jimmy?
Should I go on repeat like we did earlier? You've been watching. You've been watching. You've been watching. You've been watching Money in the Bank post show with Mike Monte, the player, and the Pharaoh. And until the Baseball Bums tomorrow night and Monte and the Pharaoh on Thursday, later.